Shawn Ray here with four-time Mr. Olympia and three-time Arnold Classic champion Jay Cutler. We're in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Pro. Jay, you're making the rounds. We were talking earlier at breakfast about what it feels like in retirement. Tell your fans a little bit about what's been happening. It's not like it's slowed down for you.
Yeah, who would have ever thought that Shawn Ray and Jay Cutler would sit down and have breakfast in Pittsburgh together?
Right?
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's been awesome. I consider myself still active. I hate to say retired because I seem to work more than I ever did. And I'm still actually in front of a lot more faces, especially internationally now. Obviously, the competitive side is kind of in the past, and you know yourself, competing for so long. I've now switched gears and, came on the promotional side and doing all the other things with the supplements, clothing and show promotions.
Right.
So it's given me a great opportunity to stand in front of, different audiences now and be on the other side and really seeing the reactions of people, how they, compete for the first time and really get the feel of being on stage. And the first time you get up there, I mean, many, many years ago was for my first show. And I was excited, I was nervous, I had a lot of reactions, the family, friends were there. And it's a starting point for a lot of people that you never know what the future is going to bring. And now, with the open divisions now, with adding, classic physique and all this, you have so many divisions for each person to compete. I just think it's awesome that the business has continued to grow on that level, so it gives a place for everyone to stand on a stage and compete.
Well, let's rewind the clock a little bit. Let's go back to 2005, okay? Back in 2005, you won the Mr. Olympia, or was that the year you got run?
The year before I won, actually. I won in 2006.
And I take you there because that's, I think, when you met a young man by the name of Phil Heath, who at that time was not doing the business of bodybuilding, so to speak. Now he's a five-time Olympia champion, surpassed your record of 4, and he'll be guest posing here tonight. But the stage is set with Dexter Jackson at 46 years old being last year's first runner-up, Kai Green sitting out. Give us a little bit of insight on how you see this year's Mr. Olympia playing out.
I've been kind of sitting back a little bit, and I haven't been paying as close of attention. I got to actually sit in the front row last year, which was rare for me to watch the show, and I saw Phil win on the 5th title, going for number 6 this year. What's that? Dorian Yates's record, right? But I think, with Phil, he still has a great advantage to be Mr. Olympia. I think he's actually looking better than I've seen him. I say this every year. It's kind of like a repeat, but he looks very good in the off season, and going into the show, anything can happen. There's a lot of predictions, and I hate to do that. Dexter Jackson's looking strong. We'll see how he performs here in the next couple weeks at the New York Pro, but I still think those two guys are going to be really, kind of the battle. I think Roden can step up. We'll see what Big Ramy can bring. Wolf's still lingering in there, and I think you might see a new face in that top 6 because. I don't know if Kai Green's going to do it, and Branch Warren. I don't know if those guys have stepped away from that Olympia stage. So it's set to make a place for someone new to step in there and really start being competitive.
Well, let me get a great assessment on what kind of job do you think Phil is doing as Mr. Olympia? Because he was obviously a student, a pupil of yours. He watched how you handled the business. He emulated what you were doing, and now here he is 5 years into his reign going for number 6. How's he doing as Mr. Olympia?
Well, number one, his job is to go and win the Mr. Olympia again. So I think, I see he's training like a maniac, and he looks great. I mean, he's following a better diet program than I think he ever has. I know he's sticking in Denver, which I think is smart for him, staying in that element. I know, I was training in L.A. at the end of my Olympia reign. It was hard going back and forth between Vegas and there. But, he's at all the major events. He's here this weekend. I think he'll be at Body Power next week. Obviously, it's winding down the season. I think he stayed a little less active on the circuit this year to focus on bringing a better package, because I know there was some criticisms in the last year or two about how he brought his package, and I think his main goal now is to make a statement, win his 6th title, and then move on and chase the next one, which obviously is number 7, but he's got to get to number 6 before he gets there.
Absolutely. And do you think number 8 is within his reality?
I hate to make, like I said, predictions, but I don't see any Phil Heath's challengers really I mean, listen, it goes show to show, and I'm an example of this. I mean, when you competed in 2001, did you expect Jay Cutler to come from 8th to 2nd? And you don't imagine guys beating certain guys, but listen, man, anything can happen, and it just, we've seen Roden climb up really quickly, and I think, he's, doing his thing, and Dexter's still, I think he's hungrier than he's ever been. I mean, you just interviewed him. I don't know what he had to say about that. But, I think, still, Phil has a really great shot, I would say, a higher percentage to win. And, granted, everything goes as planned. I don't see anything that is going to hold him from getting a record-setting, injury. I mean, I think he trained smart. But you never imagine. Listen, when I was Mr. Olympia, I never imagined anyone chasing a Ronnie Coleman or Lee Haney record of number 8, but Phil's looming in on it pretty quickly.
Yep. And finally, what a question a lot of fans ask, in your career, in your body of work, what's the most memorable victory for you, teenage all the way up? Which year was it, and why was it so special?
You know what, there's a couple. I mean, when I won the Tournament of Champions, which was an amateur show, 1995.
I was there.
August 19th, 1995. Yeah, I actually was the biggest turning point of my career because that's when I actually met Joe Weider. I landed on the cover of Muscle & Fitness slightly after that. That was like the show where I was like, wow, I made it. Obviously 2001 when I got second to Ronnie Coleman, that's the first time I ever realized, and this is for the fans out there that don't know, I realized at that point I could be Mr. Olympia. It wasn't until I landed second place and was battling Ronnie Coleman for that title that I said, wow, I can actually win this. And then, of course, 2006, beating Ronnie Coleman was amazing, and then coming back in 2009 and being the first guy to come back after losing to win the next year, that was pretty incredible, too. So there's a lot of memorable victories, but 2013 was probably the greatest Olympia I competed in because I came back and the fans were so crazy for me, and it just felt good to get up there and knowing it was probably my last time to compete.
All right, there it is, a cut above here in Pittsburgh at Jim Mannion's Pittsburgh Pro. For Muscular Development, I'm Shawn Ray.